Hello, all of you elegant listeners and viewers out there, and welcome to Go, my favorite sports team. Your one-stop shop to learn about sports, find out about sports, hear a non-knower, learn and ask questions that are obscure and actually accurate about sports. And we all know they all lead to Rome. I'm Tyler Scheid, your master, your teacher, the guy with all the balls and holes you can imagine, joined by my fellow host, Markiplier.
I'm in a bathtub.
I really do want you to turn on the water. Like, if we record again while you're in this place, I want you to, like, be in a bubble bath in your clothes.
No, I'm not gonna do that. This is for acoustic purposes only and the convenience of setting things up. I could have put this anywhere. I decided to put it here.
Is anyone complaining that you're taking over the bathroom for all these recordings?
No, this is the other bathroom. It's the only tub, though.
Well, part of me thought that you're like, I'm taking the break to work on this, and I was thinking, he's taking a break because he has to poop.
Yeah, I wouldn't poop in my recording room. Who would do that, Chica?
How was that experience? That sounded awful. It wasn't the Roomba bad, but...
No, I mean, it was fine. Amy cleaned up most of it, except for the fact that I haven't used it since, I don't know why. I've been busy, but also I haven't really been eager to. But I found another spot of poop that was missed on it that I cleaned. And then I found another spot of poop on my computer monitor that I had somehow missed. It was on the back. So she pooped and then must have wagged her tail or something. I don't know. It's just, Amy cleaned up most of it, but I'm dreading that I'm missing one spot somewhere.
Oh, everywhere you look.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's not a good conversation to start a podcast, but don't worry, everybody. That'll be the only time we talk about that. Right?
Yeah, 100%. The only reason I know about it is because I happened to listen to a Distractable episode, so. Anything else?
J'accuse!
Oh!
J'accuse, yes. Has been accused by G Natalie 01 to me. I'm going to start this off with the J'accuse to me. They say, you have made an enemy with all civil engineers. I cannot even comprehend the statements made by Mr. Markiplier this week. Here I am, studying for my finals for my undergraduate civil engineering courses, and Mark, the face of quitting engineering, the mascot, if you will, has the audacity to claim that civil engineering, and I quote, has really not that many advancements in buildings. This is the most misleading and simply false statement I've heard. I participate in a high-level research group where we are creating actual tested data on metamaterials, meaning we can make buildings out of materials made of lattice structures that are just as strong, if not stronger, than an infilled material. Topology optimization is leading the world into new, better, more awesome and cool structures. Look at Dubai, not to mention look at the roof over your head. That's all us, baby. If you didn't have our big juicy brains to make and innovate stuff, you would be in a buildingless world with no roads, no bridges. Your poop water would have nowhere to go. You wouldn't have water delivered fresh to your tap. How would you like that? Civil engineers are the most important field of engineering in the modern world and for the foreseeable future, and are a bad enemy to make, Mr. Plier. I'm really sorry to tell you this. I'm not apologizing because I have nothing to apologize for. Topology is not a field of civil engineering. And I'm not trying to be the electrical engineer who was like, oh, biomedical engineering is just, mostly electrical engineering. It's not the topology is a very important thing. I never said civil engineering was not important, but you gotta admit, there's not many innovations occurring in the field of civil engineering.
I gotta look up how long it's been since roads have been advanced.
If anything, roads have kind of suffered due to the optimizations not leading to longer lasting roads and like the maintenance cycle. There's many things about road maintenance and building in materials and contracts to road construction crews and stuff like that. There's a lot of things for that, and I'm not saying that material sciences aren't getting better, but you gotta admit it's slowed a bit compared to other fields of engineering. I, who was going to be a civil engineer, and left before I even started freshman year because I was like, I don't really want to build buildings. That seems boring.
My favorite thing about this is the fact that I look up how long have we had paved roads, and it says about 4,000 BC.
I'll tell you, when we're only now discovering, why Roman concrete was so strong. Do you know, I don't know how true this is, but do you know why it took so long to even recreate Roman concrete?
Why?
It was because, and again, I don't know how true this is, but it would make total sense. The recipe for Roman concrete was known, and we knew that there were certain types of volcanic ashes and different sources that came from that area that made the chemical composition of it a little stronger. But apparently a lot of the time, and I'm going to get a Jacuzzi about this, I know, I can already predict it. A lot of the times it would crumble in contact with seawater, right? It would start to degrade. But the recipe said the materials and water, and we in modern times assumed that meant fresh water. You're supposed to make it with seawater. But it was assumed that back then that you would know if you're going to probably make large quantities of something, or it was known. And it's because this is why historians have a tough time, is because things aren't always written out because people assume it would be obvious.
Yeah, common knowledge.
Yeah, common knowledge. They assumed it would be common knowledge. I think in a Dutch dictionary or something like that, the definition for horse is everyone knows what a horse is. That was in the dictionary back in the day. But in this case, look, I'm not saying innovation ain't happening, but it ain't happening fast. And there is value in learning established knowledge. It's okay to have had the right answer for a long time. And hey, topology is a cool, not cool, but kind of cool. No, topology is actually a field of study, and I've been looking into videos on spinors, a funky cool concept that I'm not going to get into now because I'm not qualified to even explain it. But topology has a lot to do with that, and also the fundamental understanding of the universe. Topology comes into play in a lot of these things. But when you build the space elevator, then I can say civil engineering is making strides in innovations. I'll say it then.
Ghost expelled. Like from school, because they were studying for their finals. They got expelled because they challenged you.
All right, next Jacuzzi. Coffee life support. I have a Jacuzzi for the subreddit.
Oh.
Hello, elegant listeners / viewers. I've been listening plus watching since the start of gmfst. As someone who did sports all through school and still loves playing casual sports in my adult life, this has been a great to listen to. It brings up good conversation in the community about learning of new sports or learning more about them. However, I'm convinced too many of you only half listen to the episodes. I understand having a podcast in the background while you do other stuff, but if you're going to Jacuzzi something, please make it tangible. I thought this aspect would be good to discuss and debate sports with Tyler and Mark, but 95, dare I say 99% of Jacuzzas just aren't interesting, 1% being the very few accurate ones or just over the top for comedic value. While listening, I'm already pointing out the holes and blatantly wrong statements even before the guys begin to address it. If you want to write good, worthwhile Jacuzzas and listen back to the episode as you're writing, get your facts straight. Please make these interesting. There's a team doing research for the episodes. They even search things mid-recordings. The episodes aren't just improved on the spot with whatever level of knowledge Tyler has at the time. For me, that is true. I improvise based on my current level of knowledge at the time. That's it. I say this with care as someone who loves sports and wants to hear solid back and forth. But the ones who are over the top funny for the sake of being funny, keep up the good work.
So if you're funny, keep being funny. If you accuse me about stuff that I clearly have already answered and proven that you're not accurate in what you're saying, shut up.
I disagree. If you got something and you're wrong, post it. Hell yeah. Let me roast you. I'll roast you so hard. What is this thing? I don't know. For the bathtub. I'll rip you to shreds. The civil engineer, it's not that you're wrong. It's more that I'm right.
It's not you. I mean, it is you, but it's more me.
It's my thoughts about you.
It's like a breakup.
All right, enough of this. Time to get down to the brass tacks. By Leeboy D. Soy. Tyler, you bastard.
My father is alive? What do you mean?
I've held my breath in the past on issues like hockey, but today I break my science?
Oh, you're breaking science. Oh my God, call the reporters.
For your so-called primers, specifically the Muay Thai primer, the primer I've yearned for since the inception of this podcast, you stated you wish to give the information for us to get into the sport and watch the sport, but no, you've conveniently left out key details where we can watch a fight. Where we can watch a fight, you got the chance to go see one live, but where can I go to see the same levels of competition? Oh yeah, that is it. Where sure we can watch a fight. You didn't even mention one championship or any of the fighters who are prevalent in the sport, like Super Lek or Rod Tang, or even past superstars like Mati Jedi Tek or Dragon Leg.
I disagree with that, because if you want to get into it, it's really easy to Google Muay Thai.
So your answer is just Google it?
Pretty much.
No. This is a podcast that is about stoking interest. I think there's a good point here, because we need to do whatever is possible to get people out there interested and like hold their hand and guide them towards these things, because like there's always this inhibition for people to take action. We should give people all the tools they need to take action if they want to.
So tell them about where it can be watched.
Where you give examples of good things to watch. That's one of the things that I think we did for wrestling, even though they're very angry, is we talked about WrestleMania and clips on YouTube. I think we talked about that. We gave examples of things maybe to get started with, but getting started is a very important thing to talk about when we're talking about these sports. So I think that could fall in our responsibility.
Okay. I mean, my thing was always about opening the door for them to equate interest to then potentially further venture into it on their own. But if I need to hold their hand a little bit more, I'll try to do that. You know, I've only got 2 hands, but maybe I can grow some more.
You're ambidextrous.
No, I'm mixed-handed.
Well, stop mixing them up and help people.
Okay. Well, if you want to see Muay Thai, there are a ton of different areas you can do so. I happen to go to Thailand, which is the first time I was able to watch it. It's very prevalent in Thailand. So that's one way you can go and find a way to watch it live. As far as like Muay Thai events, there's one happening on April 22nd here in Anaheim, California. There's some workout self-defense workshops, apparently Wednesday. This is all California stuff. But IKF, Point Muay Thai, PBSC, Point Boxing Sparring Circuit. There's a Yaku Bayan Muay Thai Academy that has a blog. US Open Muay Thai Championships take place in Scottsdale, Arizona on May 9th and 12th.
There you go. There you have it, everybody. I have one last jacuzzi if you want.
Yeah, I'm ready.
The Royal Pineapple 48. To me. You hypocritical heathen, you do nothing but preach about lenses all day, all night, sitting in bed, rambling nonsense to the point where you've gone mad, but for 2 weeks in a row on Distractable and Go My Favorite Sports Team, your video quality was garbage. Weird artifacting like the interlacing on analog TVs. And it's not just me, as Mr_12 was absolutely spotless, quite frankly. If you're willing to throw away your life and sanity for a cause, you should at least stick by it. And don't even get me started on the lighting in your recent YouTube videos. If you're going to have a face cam, you should be able to see the face. Luckily, in the Boston Marathon Primer, it seemed back to normal. But if you ever spread rumors about your greatness like that again, live up to them. P.S. Le Q's is meant to be a portmanteau of lenses and JQs. Also, it's kind of Italian. It said Le Q's on the top of it.
Oh.
Now, okay. Are you trying to insinuate with your microscopic knowledge of lenses that somehow my choice of lenses affected the video quality? In your peanut-sized brain that can't take in 2 words strung together in a single sentence, are you telling me that your 2 neurons couldn't do a game of badminton to understand that the lens had nothing to do with the video quality that you were receiving or was recorded, and you couldn't deduce that the very internet, and it may not have been your internet, but what if it was my internet? Has nothing to do with lenses at all, unless you're talking about the fiber optic cables, and then, you know, kind of, it's actually a lens that's affecting the light waves, but it's nothing on my end. I'll have you know that the lens that I am looking into right now is the same lens I had before I even got into lenses, attached to the same camera.
I thought you were going to say before you even got into the tub.
That too. That also is true. You think I would use those lenses on this camera? No, it doesn't. Those lenses don't have autofocus yet. And also, the lighting in my recent videos looked fantastic because I have a really good understanding of how to craft light, and also I was lazy and didn't feel like doing a lot. I don't even have a light on in here. I just got sunlight, which is nice. So suck it.
The only thing that isn't like nice about your current sunlight thing is it varies. But that also creates a dynamic environment that makes it interesting.
That's how life is. It's variety. The stillness of indoor life, that's what can destroy people. You need positive stressors in your life so you can work out those 2 brain cells.
Well, we already covered current events in the other episode we recorded on this exact same day because we're wearing the same clothing and you're still in the tub. So I don't really have any more to add.
I got one. By CBS News. Online gambling casts deepening shadow on pro sports by Christopher J. Brooks. Edited by Alain Schurter. The legalization of online sports betting in many U.S. states have proved a boon for the gambling industry as well as has generated billions in local tax revenue, but the explosive growth in wagering has also had a less savory effect that experts say threatens the integrity of professional sports. A surge in players breaking league rules and placing bets, sometimes on their own teams and personal performance. The most recent incident happened this week when the NBA permanently banned former Toronto Raptors player Jonte Porter after an investigation found that he had shared information about his health status with other bettors and that he had previously bet $54,000 on basketball games. Earlier this year, meanwhile, Los Angeles Dodgers Shohei Ohtani became the center of an MLB gambling probe centering on the player's former interpreter, and the NHL last fall suspended Ottawa Senator Shane Pinto for 41 games for violating the league's gambling rules. In 2023, 11 different pro athletes were caught engaging in sports gambling, The Athletic has reported, including NFL players from the Detroit Lions who were suspended for an entire season. Such scandals, including at the collegiate level, have proliferated since the Supreme Court in 2018 cleared the way for states to legalize online sports betting. And while there are steps league officials can take to mitigate the issue, experts see no panaceas.
Oh.
Panaceas. Panacea. Panacea.
Nausea?
Panacea.
So this is actually interesting because I found out recently in the news that there was a NCAA wrestler wrestling for the national championship or a championship. I think it was the Big Ten championship, who was offered a bribe to throw the match. Usually when that happens, there's gambling involved in it, which is why I talked about how bad sports gambling is as a whole to the integrity of sports, because these things do happen when there's an opportunity for somebody to guarantee a victory and win a significant amount of money. And he was offered, I think it was like $300,000.
Damn.
And he didn't take it, but he in an interview afterwards, he talked about it and reported on it.
Even Chica went, damn, did you hear that?
Ooh, we got barks.
I'm going to go see what that is.
Probably a good idea.
Oh, God. The neighbor had golf clubs. It's sports related.
Oh, Chica thought they were kidnapping something.
Exactly. Golf clubs.
Now that we've covered the current event news, it's time for us to jump back in time to the days where we played billiards. We played pool.
Yeah, we
played it in basements. We played it, what was that, late high school, a little bit in college when we went to that bar that was very famous for Wade's dating life when he decided to date again.
Oh, yeah. I remember. What was it? Village Tavern?
Village Tavern, yeah.
They had a pool table? Oh, up in that, the upper area. That's right.
Yeah, that was when the penis fly trap officially got its namesake.
The what?
Do you not know this story?
What?
All right, let me explain this because I wasn't there, but apparently you were.
I was?
But the namesake didn't come until after. Apparently, you guys were there catching up. I think Jesse was there. It was either with you or with Jesse. But every time Wade went out and he would say he's on the prowl, he'd go and just sit in a corner and watch like Sports Center or something.
He was on the prowl.
The prowl. I'm going on the prowl. That's what he'd say. This is Wade, all right?
Is that what he would say? God, I must have blanked all this out. I have no idea what you're talking about, but all right, go ahead.
But every time he would say that, he'd just go and sit in, like he'd walk for like a second and then he'd be like, ooh, sports, and watch Sports Center. So he'd sit on a stool and watch the TV, and somehow a girl would approach and talk to him. And he designated his technique as the penis fly trap, where he literally sits there and watches TV and somebody approaches him. You'll have to ask Wade about about it in the next Distractable episode.
Number one, I don't think that ever worked. Number two, did that happen?
That happened multiple times.
Did it happen once and then he was like, it's my special move?
No, it happened multiple times.
What's multiple? Two?
In all convenience sake for Wade, I was never there to acknowledge that it happened. But I heard from him and from Jesse that it happened. Both when they'd go up to Miami, both at the Village Tavern.
Well, I never went up to Miami with them, that's for sure. I would only go to the Village Tavern. I mean, in total, I've only been there maybe like 10, 12 times.
Well, the other time it happened was at your favorite wing place that's no longer in Milford.
If there's no why at whatever it's called, Putters?
Putters, yeah, it happened at Putters.
When? I would have been there. Who was he picking up at Putters? When was he on the prowl at Putters? Was that man prowling at Putters?
But it was the model girlfriend, the international supermodel, whatever, from Drunk Minecraft that you guys were like, that's not real.
Yes, I remember that. That was not at Putters.
That happened at Putters.
That was not at Putters.
That was at Putters.
Was it at Putters? When?
I verified it being at Putters because I went to the...
What kind of international model convention was running through Putters in Milford?
I don't know.
This doesn't add up. I think this is why I was making fun of it in the first place, because none of that story ever added up. I've been saying this for a long time. Wade's been lying about a lot of things. Number one, his age. He is 10 years older than he says he is, because he knows knowledge beyond our time. Beyond our time. He makes references to shows that we did not grow up with, that you would have to be 10 years older to even grow up with. He talks about it with his childhood. I think that man is some eldritch being. Even he doesn't know his origin, but he's starting to wake. And you can't let the eldritch horrors wake up from their dreams, or else all will collapse.
You know, that would explain why he can eat the way that he does and has better health than either of us.
Exactly. How does that happen? How does that occur? How does that occur? He is a vacuum of meat, sucking meat in all day long, all day out. He never stops. That man has put away more food than like 10 of me's.
Does that mean he is the one mythical being that could beat 10 Markipliers?
No. In an eating contest, maybe. In a fight, nah. I'd go for his knees.
He might blind you with his shine off his head. You never know.
I'll close my eyes.
The best method to prevent yourself from being unable to see is to choose it yourself. But anyway, we're talking about billiards. I don't know how we got on this tangent, but we got there.
There was a pool table at Village Tavern. That was how it all got there. And at Putters. Are you confusing the two? Because I don't remember a billiards table at Village Tavern, but I know Putters had two in the back.
Village Tavern had it upstairs.
Because I remember the upstairs area. We spent a lot of time up there. I don't remember a pool table being up there.
There was definitely a pool table. It's still there.
Because I feel like there was more room up there for hanging out, and if it wasn't a big area, so if a pool table was up there, I'm looking it up. Oh, no, the pool tables were down.
No, they're up.
I'm looking at a picture and they're down, but that used to be, there was like a mini little dance floor there.
Did they rearrange it again?
No, I'm looking at the upstairs. There's no billiards upstairs because it's a small area. Look, I got a 360 view of that upstairs area. There's a brick son of a bitch in the middle of it, and there's a shuffleboard table. There ain't no pool table up there, and there couldn't be because look at that brick column there.
I'm looking it up and I can't find it.
And mind you, I'm looking at the 360 view of that area, and there is a pool table that's in the back of the area up there. But I'm thinking sometimes they might have taken it out to clear more space for people to boogie down. I'm thinking that your entire life is a lie.
No, it was up there. I think because I went there when they'd have live music, which means they might have moved it up there for the dance floor and then moved it down at different times.
How are they going to conveniently move an entire billiards table up this tiny staircase?
They folded up into the mythical interdimensional space that is Wade's stomach.
I'm going to share my screen because you're suggesting that this is for everyone who's watching. Please don't look at this if you're driving. I'm going to walk you through the space of the mythical Village Tavern. What Tyler is positing is that there was a billiards table up in this upstairs area, right? I'm about to turn. There's a brick.
The pool table is like right where this camera was standing.
What do you mean it's right where the camera's standing? There's barely any room for anything. You wouldn't be able to walk around if there was a pool pool table here?
The darts, that didn't used to be there. They rearranged it.
It would be from table to table. There would be no room to aim. They would not be here.
It was there.
It was not there. There is one down here way in the back.
That used to be up there.
There's no way it wouldn't fit up the stairs. What are they going to do? Pass it up here over the bar?
They take it out the back door and then through the ceiling.
No. Why are they going to go around the back door to be able to do that? I don't even know if that connects. There's no way that they brought that upstairs for that. I'm going outside. I'm going in the back door. Look at this. There's the outdoor bar here. And yeah, it connects up there. But it's a tiny little, look at that. Look at it. It's fenced.
You can lift it over the railing.
They lift it over the railing and then they, break the window every time to get it through? It's not fitting through that door.
It was in there. I swear it was in there.
It was not. It was not. There was not. I think you're confusing reality because our memories play tricks on us. See, here's the thing. I don't even remember the second bar existing, but it's here.
I remember it existing.
Blow me and find out.
What?
It's a breathalyzer. That's, you can't argue with that. That's, argue that.
This is obviously pre-2020 because they're not going to let multiple people blow on the same thing.
Well, they probably had little straws to do this. This is from 6 years ago. So yeah, it would be 2018. Let's just go back to a gmfst meetup at Village Tavern and it'll be great. Anyway, billiards.
Billiards.
We've established, I don't think we need to go over the dimension part of it because I think we've covered the dimensions in pretty apt description at this point.
Correct. But we're not talking about traditional billiards. We're talking about snooker. Imagine a table like a billiards table, but wider, bigger, where a mix of mathematics, physics, geometry, hand-eye coordination all come into play. There's chess-like strategy where you need to think many moves ahead, and precision in aiming and power is key. Angles, speed, momentum, all must be considered on each of your shots.
Why are you talking like an old wizard casting a curse? Speed.
Geometry. Well, that's what the sport calls for. It's called snooker. Do you know what snooker is?
I mean, I do now, or I will now.
But you've seen the oversized, like, red balls, lots of red balls.
And the people with the butlers with gloves all around the table. It looks very posh.
But it's a cue sport played on an oversized billiards table with 22 balls.
A what sport?
Cue. Like a pool cue.
Oh, a stick. You talking about stick.
Stick and balls. It's a stick and balls sport. Has a reputation for being a sport for the rich, which is what you explained. They're all like fancily clad.
Very posh, yeah, very posh.
Since around 90% of professional snooker players make very little money, somewhere around 20,000 pounds. So you need a way to support yourself unless you're one of the very top players, even if you're playing in pro matches. One of the top players, Ali Carter, told BBC's Framed podcast, "It's been really tough. Maybe 90% of players on the tour have got no money. They're earning nothing. 20 grand a year, 30 grand a year. After expenses, maybe less than that. You could go and get a job stacking a shelf in a supermarket for that. No disrespect to anybody who does that. But these boys have put their life into playing snooker from a very young age. So it just seems a little bit unfair to me. That's all." Despite this, snooker has been gaining in popularity in recent years, particularly in Asia, and there's an estimated 200 million snooker players in over 100 countries. The World Snooker Championship, which is happening right now, is watched by over 500 million people across the globe.
500 million?
500 million.
Doubt. I'm pressing X to doubt. You telling me more people watch snooker than badminton? Come on.
I'm merely reading what the researcher's telling me.
I don't even know if 10 million people watch it. 500. This is like inflated numbers where people count all their social media accounts and they're like, I've got 150 million followers, when it's like, those are the same people.
Maybe they're looking at all the TikTok views of all the clips too of everyone playing snooker, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely that. Yeah.
You know, while we contest that, what we can't contest is history, because it's written by the winner, so it has to be right.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Act 1, History of Snooker. It is generally believed that the game of snooker originated.
He said perfect English there. You just need to be aware that something went wrong in your synapses.
It's believed that the game of snooker originated in the British Army garrisons of India as a combination of the various billiard games, mostly English billiards, which were a popular pastime in the late 1800s and early 1900s. I'm crying.
I don't know why. No one makes Tyler laugh like Tyler does. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? We've got a podcast to do. Get it together.
The most popular theory to snooker's origin is that Colonel...
This better be the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. You've been reading it. I'm so ready. I want to laugh. Tell me.
All right. The most popular theory to snooker's origin is that Colonel C. Neville Chamberlain of the Devonshire Regiment claims to have named snooker, once being a derogatory term for a first-year candidate of the Royal Military Academy in Woolwich in England. This guy claims to have named it in 1875.
I think in the last 10 sentences you had like a 40% pronunciation success rating. That was a train wreck. What happened? You want to send it to me? I'll read it. And if I have just as much trouble, then I'll understand where you're coming from. What did you just read? Because I didn't get any of it.
I'm just going to copy and paste this and send it to you.
I'll translate the Tylerisms here. The most popular theory to snooker's origin is that Colonel Sir Neville Chamberlain. You said C. Neville. You said C. Carnival or something like that. I could not understand what name you pulled out of somewhere. It's just Sir Neville, Sir, as in knighted, Neville Chamberlain of the Devonshire Regiment, claims to have named snooker, once being a derogatory term for the first-year cadet of the Royal Military Academy of Woolwich. I didn't know what you were talking about there. Royal Military Academy of Woolwich, which is a city in England, in 1875. In this earlier version, fewer balls were used, they were positioned on different spots, had different values, and the scoring sequence and rules would be unrecognizable to a follower of today's game. So in essence, it was a completely different game. There's no relation at all, and this is all made up bullshit.
Who made the changes to create the modern version of the game is a mystery. But the modern rules, for the most part, were used by 1900. It's likely the rules evolved through a series of individuals in the Army Officers' Mess, or the English Gentlemen's Club, and Utakamoon.
Oh boy. Oh no. I'm gonna look it up. It's gonna be John Smith, and you pronouncing it Utakamoon.
Utakamoon Hills, also known as Uti, India, added more balls to the game. I'm sending you this word.
Ron Johnson. That's what he just sent me.
What?
No, it is. It's, I don't know how to pronounce that. Ootacamund.
The possible origins of snooker are recounted in a letter published in the Billiard Player magazine in April of 1939. Investigation was established so far from snooker having originated at the shop. The game was invented at Jubbulpore in the year 1875 by Colonel Sir Neville Chamberlain, who is fortunately still with us and whose memory is perfectly clear on the subject. It befell during the reigns that Sir Neville, then a young subaltern in the Devonshire Regiment, anxious to vary the game of Blackpool, which was played every long wet afternoon on the mess billiard table, suggested putting down another colored ball, to which others of different values were gradually added. One day, a subaltern of the field battery at Jubbulpore was being entertained by Devons, and in the course of conversation, young Chamberlain about the subcroquet snooker for first-year cadets at Woolwich. To quote Sir Neville's own words, "The term was a new one to me, but as..." Excuse me, I'm trying to do this man's voice.
Oh, sorry.
"The term was a new one to me, but I soon had the opportunity of exploiting it when one of our party failed to hold a colored ball, which was close to a corner pocket. I called out to him, 'Why, you're a real snooker!'
is that his voice?
I had to explain to the company the definition of the word, and to soothe the feelings of the corporate, I added that they were all, so to speak, snookers at the game, so it would be very appropriate to call the name Snooker. The suggestion was adopted with enthusiasm. And the game has been called Snooker ever since.
And if you had to explain what accent you're doing, could you just enlighten maybe the listeners at home?
That is the accent of Chamberlain Connells of Devonshire.
What? Chamberlain S. Colonels of Devonshire? Is that what you said? You couldn't have said Colonel Sir Neville Chamberlain. You couldn't have said that because you didn't. Chamberlain S. Connells?
That's the accent of Colonels of Devonshire.
Let me just look at where Devonshire is. It's Devonshire. England. Is that like a sub-dialect of Devonshire?
It's just the old accent, before it developed into something newer.
Yeah, the old of 1875.
Yeah, language evolves very quickly. I don't know if you understand that.
And he's still with us today.
He's still with us today. That's what it said.
That's very scary. That man is over 50 years old, actually. He's close to 150.
In all fairness, this was in 1939 when this article came out. So
weren't they in a war? There was a war that was happening.
Yes, and this was a feel-good piece. They're trying to distract people, all right?
Those rich bastards. Wait, when did it? 1939? There was a war occurring. It started September 1st.
Well, maybe it was before the war happened.
Then they should have been ready for it, not playing snooker.
All right. Well, the first professional snooker championship was held at Campkins Hall, Birmingham in 1927. The tournament was won by Joe Davis, 20-11 against Tom Dennis to earn a first prize of £6 and 10 shillings.
That's not very much.
The tournament has taken place almost every year since then, except for during World War II and for a few years in the late 50s to early 60s. This year's tournament is at the Crucible Theater in Sheffield and goes from April 20th to May 6th. Act 2. It's time to play snooker.
Yeah, I have no idea how to play, and all that we've talked about, all I know is kind of like billiards.
So snooker is played with 22 balls, 1 white cue ball, 15 red balls, 1 yellow, 1 green, 1 brown, 1 blue, 1 pink, and 1 black. The cue. Whoa, I don't know what happened to my voice there. Snooker cues are normally made from wood. Players choose the best cue for themselves based on length, weight, cue tip type, diameter, etc. There's significant variation. However, the snooker cue must be at least 3 feet in length. The snooker table. Regulation is 12 feet by 6 feet with 6 pockets, 1 at each corner and 1 in the middle of each long side. Table usually has a slate base covered in green baize, which is the felt. A balk line is drawn across the width of the table 29 inches from the cushion at one end. These two latter items are respectively designated as the balk cushion and the balk end. A semicircular radius of 11.5 inches, also called the D, is drawn behind the line with its center point on the midpoint of that line. So the cushion is at the other end of the table, is known as the top cushion. That's what it looks like.
What in the hell?
That's the line with the D, the balk line, balk cushion.
So imagine everyone at home, you got a standard pool table that I think most of us know. And actually is probably like one of the earliest introductions for a lot of people to games and sports in general. A lot of people have seen it or had one. But then there's 3 balls, like Tyler said, green, mauve, and yellow. It looks mauve to me.
I think that's brown. That's supposed to be brown.
Mauve, brown.
But also this pool table's bigger, Mark. It's much wider.
They don't need to be bogged down with that. It's bigger, but imagine a pool table. Green, brown, yellow, along the 29 inches from the left side of it. We're looking at it from the top, okay? Top down. In a line that is parallel to the short left side of it. In line with the brown, the center line, the center and subdividing it, you got a brown, that's the center line going lengthwise. So in that parallel line in the middle of it, you got a brown one, green above it, yellow below it, blue, center of the whole pool table, in line with the brown, which again, center, but in the middle of the table. Then you got that triangle that you typically see on a pool table made up of all reds, all reds. It's over towards the right side where you might expect it, but kind of a little more towards the wall there. In front of the triangle that's pointing towards the blue at the middle, which is in the middle, and to the left of it is the brown. And remember, above the brown is the green and below it is the yellow. But go back to the brown, now go right to the blue, now go right, there's a pink. In front of the red triangle of 15 balls, which is the normal amount of balls in a pool break. Bonus! Black ball to the right of the triangle. If you're looking at it from how you would shoot this at a normal pool where you're approaching it from the short side, looking towards the other side where the triangle is, you would see the brown, the blue, the pink, the red triangle, and then behind it, hiding, black ball. I hope that painted a mental picture.
Snooker has a lot of rules and fouls, but the most basic ones are this. Players take it in turns to break with a coin toss, who decides who starts the first frame. The break is made with the cue ball in the D, and a red must be struck. That D arc that's to the left of the brown ball, the cue ball has to start inside that zone.
Says it have to go around one of those green, brown, or yellow balls. You have to not hit them.
Correct, because you have to hit a red first.
Okay, that's tricky because the green, brown, and yellow are there, but also the blue is in the middle and also the pink is in front of it. And you can't hit any of those?
No, it must strike a red first.
All right, understood.
If both players agree, a frame can be started. If both players agree, a frame can be restarted. So if there's like a stalemate, like there's not an available shot or something like that, they can restart it. A push shot, which is a foul, is when the tip of the cue remains in contact with the cue ball as it in turn touches a target ball. So your cue cannot be touching the white ball when it makes contact with another ball. And the cue must only be played with one clean strike.
So this is very much like pool.
Correct. The referee may call a miss if the player does not strike the correct ball and is judged to not have made a serious attempt to. So if they were like, they aimed for something and didn't seem like they seriously made an attempt to hit anything. So you can't purposely miss to set the ball into a more difficult position. The other player is awarded a foul and has the option to make the player replay the shot. All balls have to be stationary before a shot is taken. The ball cue must hit the nominated ball first, or if it is a red, any red. Failure to do so is a foul, as is not hitting any ball or potting a non-nominated ball. If the player touches any ball with any part of their body or any ball other than the white with their cue, it's a foul. Hitting a ball off the table is a foul. Reds are not replaced, but all other colors will be respotted. So the idea is you're trying to clear the table, Mark.
How do you nominate a ball?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for it right now. If the spot on which a color would usually be replaced is covered by another ball, the color is placed on the next highest available spot. If all spots are occupied, the color is placed as close to its spot as possible between that spot and the top cushion. The ball must not be touching any other ball. So basically, if there's like a red ball where the blue ball usually goes and somebody just scored the blue ball, they would place the blue ball in one of the other spots, which oftentimes would be like where one of the red triangles were. But if that's occupied, that area is occupied, they put it as close to its original spot as possible without touching the ball that's in its spot.
Okay. I didn't get any of that.
Yep.
And I'm trying. This might be one of the most complicated sports that I'm trying to understand. I'm trying.
I'm trying to understand it too, in all fairness.
Oh, man.
When the cue ball is touching another ball, the referee will say, touching ball, and the player must play away from that ball.
This sounds like made up rules by kids. This sounds absurd.
If that ball moves, it is a foul. If the player nominated that ball, they can play away, and it is classified as already having made contact with that ball. I wonder if your opponent is nominating balls. It's like, make this one. But it doesn't seem like it when I've watched a game. I never understood it. All I know is they try and clear all the red balls, and then once you put the other balls in the pocket, so you have to alternate. This is based on my viewing of it, all right? You have to hit the red balls first. Once you make a red ball, you can go after a colored ball. But then you have to make another red ball and then go after a different colored ball. And the colored balls get replaced. So to maximize points, you alternate red ball with colored ball until you eliminate all the red balls. And then you make one more colored ball and then they total the score and each different color has a point value. That's what I understand from watching a game purely out of speculation.
And I think you're fair on that one because I would love to see the snooker fanatics come out of the woodworks and defend this one because this is supposed to be an intro. We're not supposed to go into the deep dive, but we haven't even gotten into how to play it right. It's tough. I think the answer, correct me if I'm wrong, but the answer to this dilemma for this primer is if you want to get started in snooker, play pool.
Yes.
That's the first step. That is where people should get started, because if you get bored of pool and you want to make it 10 times more complicated, then you can take it to the evolution of it with this other one with all these different rules.
We're getting to the good part, because there's a line in here that your head is probably spinning with all these rules. But let me finish these rules first.
Is that what's written there?
It's literally written there.
All right. Okay, cool.
The player must have at least 1 foot on the ground while playing a shot. So while taking a shot, you have to have 1 foot on the ground. There's no jump shoots.
You can't side saddle the table a little bit?
Nope. You can't jump shoot. You can't go no footsies. Potting the cue ball is a foul, just like regular pool. As is a jump shot, you're not allowed to have a ball leave the table and clear another ball. Now we're at 14 of this list. Your head is probably spinning with all these rules, but the absolute most basic information you need to play snooker is this. Why didn't we start with this?
I don't know. Why didn't we start with this? I'm not in control here.
GQ's our researcher. You alternate between shooting at red balls and colored balls with the cue to earn points. I called it! You must pot a red ball in order to pot a different colored ball, and you must nominate or call out which ball you plan to pot. That's how you nominate it. Any non-red ball is placed back on the table after it's potted, which is being put in the hole, in its designated spot while there are still red balls left. After all the red balls have been pocketed, shoot the colored balls in ascending point order. The correct order for the colored balls is at the end of the game is yellow, green, blue, pink, and then black. So the idea is to clear the table. You clear red ball, then you can shoot a colored ball, clear red ball, shoot a colored ball. And the reason they do this is because the ball scoring. Reds are worth 1 point, yellow is worth 2, green is 3, brown is 4, blue is 5, pink is 6, and black is 7.
And you hit them in an ascending point order?
Yes.
You don't get to choose.
You don't get to, well, you get to, so when you're alternating between red and a ball, you get to choose any of the colored balls to shoot next. But when you have cleared all the red balls because they don't get replaced like the other colored balls, then you have to score them.
They get replaced. That's what the butlers were doing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the idea is to score as many points as possible in your session of snooker. And foul scoring, 4 to 7 points are awarded to your opponent due to the severity of the different fouls we talked about. For example, fouling with a black ball would be a 7-point foul. Okay. So if you said you'd make the black ball and you missed the black ball, it gives the opponent 7 points. Now it makes sense.
God, yes, now it makes sense. It's all...
This should have been what we started with.
This makes so much more sense. Because now I see why people would play it. I didn't understand why it was any better to complicate it, but the idea that you hit a red ball in, then you get a chance to go for the high point one, then it's skill, because it's like, ooh, that's an easy shot with a low ball, but there's a high point ball that I could do a triple bank, get it into that pocket. If I'm skilled enough, I can. Now I understand.
It makes sense.
Now I get it.
It also explains the strategy, and you have to be significantly skilled to like be able to maximize the amount of points, because it's like, not only do you need to be able to make the shot, but you need to pick the shots that you know are more likely to make and know you're going to make it, because if you miss, you give your opponent points.
You give them points.
Yeah, because if you nominate a ball, say you nominated the blue ball and you didn't make the blue ball, it would be a foul, which gives them 5 points.
I understand it. Oh, I understand it now. I'm trapped in a box of this tub and my emotions. I get it.
It's making sense.
It's making sense. Everyone at home listening is like, God, I don't get it, but we get it.
We got the breakthrough. That's what they were doing. They were confusing us, and then so that we could have the breakthrough and epiphany.
Sir Neville Wimblebottom was trying to keep this from us.
He was, but we broke through with our accents and our brains.
I was not doing an accent. I don't want to be lumped in with that.
All right, now it's time to play, Mark. Now that we understand it, it's time to play.
Okay.
Baby Mark, arrange the 15 balls inside of a snooker rack so they form a triangle.
Did it?
Position one of the points of the triangle in the pyramid spot located on one end of the table, then carefully move the rack of balls so they stay in the triangle. Place the pink ball on the pink spot just in front of the racked red balls.
People already know the diagram in their head. They haven't lost that. Done.
Black ball behind them, blue ball in the center point, then green, brown, and yellow balls on their matching spots on the balk line. Once the balls are placed, coin flip. Winning
I win.
means you get to break and shoot first. Going first can be a huge advantage and even lead to you winning the game without your opponent ever taking a shot.
Yes, and I win.
This is called a maximum break, or a 1-4-7. To accomplish this, you need to alternate putting the 15 red balls in the black ball, then potting the colored balls in order, scoring a total of 147 points. That's the maximum amount you can score and clear the table.
Did it all in one turn, no flaws.
To start, place your cue ball inside the D and shoot it at the red balls, breaking the triangle cluster. If you're skilled or lucky, one of the red balls will go in the pocket, and you can then nominate or call out which non-red ball you want to shoot next. You alternate shooting the red ball and colored balls until you miss your shot, pot the cue ball or foul, making sure you place the color back on their spots after you knock them into a pocket. If you miss your shot, your opponent will now have their turn to score as many points as they can while trying to avoid giving you points by fouling. So if you miss, they take over, much like normal pool. When you and your opponent have pocketed all the red balls, you now have to sink the remaining colored balls in their point value in ascending order, like we said, yellow, green, brown, blue, pink, and then black. Congratulations, you now know how to play snooker, and if that's a win, that tells you you can also win at snooker.
There you go.
Anyway, the winner is obviously who has the most points in a frame is the winner of that game. Matches are determined as a best of number of frames, varying from 11 frames up to 35 frames for the World Snooker Championship final.
Hell yeah.
Once one player has the lead of more points than remain on the table, the opponent is said to need snookers. A snooker is where the balls are placed where the player cannot directly hit the next legal ball. The hope is to force a foul and earn 4 points. If a player says thinks they cannot win, even by forcing snookers, they can concede the frame. Usually when around 4 or 5 snookers would be required in addition to all the remaining balls, depending on how many balls are left. That's snooker. Apparently there's strategy to it in the sense of like, you want to block them from being able to hit and score a red ball when you need to make a red ball in alternating fashion, or block them from being able to do certain things, which is like, sometimes you make a ball, but then you miss to leave it to where you're defending because there's not a plausible shot for you. So there's some defense in that sense where taking that foul is worth it to then force them to possibly make a bigger foul.
More strategy layers of it, but nothing we need to know for us beginners.
No, but if you want to watch the World Snooker Championships,
of which there's 500 million people enjoying,
there's just saying use VPNs. Coverage spanning BBC One, BBC 4, and BBC Red Button service. That's how you can watch. Discovery Plus, Matchroom Live. In China, CCTV 5, as well as Migu and Huya. MIGU and HUYA.
All right, sounds good. If that 500 million is true, I would love to confirm that. I would love to take a random sampling of 100 people and ask them, do you enjoy watching snooker? And 15 or so of them have to say yes.
Well, let us know if you enjoy snooker. And if you do, make sure and go and buy our merch.
That's true. If you don't like snooker, be sure to get our merch to say that you don't.
Yeah, that's the best way to say that you don't or you do is by buying our merch.
Store.gmfst.com.
Yeah, we did that perfectly in sync. If you have a jacuzzi for us, reddit.com/r/gmfst is where you go. Put those jacuzzis in there, use the proper flair. And if you have an episode suggestion, make sure you have a story link to it, something interesting, something fascinating about what you want us to talk about, and use the episode idea flair. Mark, anything you want to add?
Nope, I gotta go out of this tub. My leg's asleep.
All right, well, make sure and enjoy the podcast wherever you are, in the tub, on the drive, everything else, but make sure you don't watch while you drive. That's illegal. And also, in the next episode, we'll talk about how we possibly almost got somebody fired when they were listening to our podcast episode.
Hell yeah.
Bye.
Bye.